The winter can be a tough time for birds, especially if you live in a snowy, cold climate. A lot of their resources get depleted, and you might see an influx of birds coming in, especially after something like a heavy snowfall. So it can be tough to look out your window and feel like they're struggling and cold. So here are 5 ways to help your backyard birds in winter. Number 1 is to provide high-fat food. So something like black oil sunflower seeds, suet, or peanuts can all help those birds get those extra fat reserves, which are really important for winter. A lot of the times we think of mammals kind of bulking up and putting on some extra weight before the winter season. It's also important for birds to get as much of those high-fat foods as possible to help them get a little extra energy and a little extra reserve. Number 2 is to provide a water source. A lot of the areas where birds can normally drink become frozen or inaccessible in the winter, especially if you're in a northern area. So having some kind of open water, whether it's a water feature with moving water, that can be a great place for birds to come and get a drink. Or if you want to go out and fill something daily, it can be tough because it does freeze. If you want to go really crazy, you can also get a heated bird bath. So some of them are a little pricey, but birds will appreciate an area to get a drink, bathe. I will warn you that you should be careful if you have metal poles or like some parts of a feeder that are metal, because I have heard cases of birds being in the bird bath and then getting stuck frozen to those poles. So I have heard of people putting tape around those metal pieces or like foam so that birds aren't in contact with water and then metal. But any kind of water source is definitely appreciated by wildlife in the winter. So if you're feeling like setting something like that up, birds will take notice and you'll see critters coming to that water source. Number 3 is to provide cover. So even something like a Christmas tree that maybe you're done with for the season, if you have a live tree, you could put that out by your feeders. Birds like to hang out in those cover areas, especially sparrows. And not just for the winter is this good, but throughout the season, it also helps them to evade predators. So if birds have that cover, it's harder for like a Cooper's hawk to come and swoop in if they can just go to those branches. A lot of the times they'll also kind of stage in those areas before going to your feeders. So providing cover, branches, something like a Christmas tree, bushes, shrubs, birds will definitely appreciate that, especially sparrows. Number 4 is fill your feeders early and late. So as birds are waking up in the morning, they're gonna be looking for that food right away. So if they go out and the feeders aren't filled, they might have to kind of look elsewhere. If you can fill them right away, they'll get that meal early, be able to start off the day strong getting those resources. And then filling the feeders right before it gets dark at night will help them get that last meal in and help them keep those reserves overnight. There's also some species that are particularly late feeders, like northern cardinals. They'll sometimes come in even as like the sun is basically already down and you can not really see that well. Mourning doves will sometimes come in late too, so you might notice different species at different times. But either way, birds in your yard will appreciate being able to feed early in the morning and then as it starts to get dark. Number 5 is something that you can do earlier in the season that will benefit birds in winter, but also throughout the year, and that is to plant flowering and fruiting plants that are native. So if you have those native food sources in your yard, a lot of times as they go to seed, birds can utilize those in the winter. So goldfinches particularly like sunflower, thistle, so if you have those planted, they'll come in to take those if you have goldfinches around. And different fruiting trees or plants birds will also appreciate. I would encourage you to try to look up what's native to your area because there are non-native plants that also fruit or have flowers that birds will utilize, but try to encourage people to get those native plants in their yard. So do your research for your area, get some of those native plants, and it's amazing what you can do by just building up a community in your yard. I've seen more urban areas where somebody goes all out in their backyard. They have tons of flowers, tons of plants, food sources, water sources, and it's just a bird haven. So it could be city all around, but then birds will flock there, especially during migration, and then you'll see birds taking advantage of those resources in the winter as well. So that is 5 ways you can help your backyard birds in winter. If you have any additional comments or ways that you've been able to help your backyard birds in winter, let us know in the comments below. If you appreciated this video, we'd really love it if you could give it a like, comment, share. We also have our membership program, which you can check out below. We provide some extra perks to our members. We really appreciate you guys. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.